Hello.
Hello.
How is everybody doing?
Good.
I put the sign in and all that stuff in the chat. We'll get started here in a minute. All righty. All right, guys. Can you see my screen? Hopefully.
Yes.
All right. So we are at our summit for industry certs and EOPs. Letting people in. Mandy, want me to go or?
Let's hold, let's see, just for a minute. Wait, are there more people waiting?
No, I'm letting them in as we go.
Okay. Yeah, let's rock it. Let's do it.
Oh, there we go. Do you want me to go over the?
Sorry, I'm getting organized over here.
I
All
just
right.
need direction.
Hi
I'm letting people in
everyone.
and I'm sending all the links. Okay.
Just happy that it's not snowing right now because I'm gonna have to drive on the interstate at some point in time today. So just getting acclimated over here. This is our CTE Summit for EOP and industry certifications. Thank you to everyone who is here. We are recording it for those of you who are not able to attend. And just a quick mention about our mission for Fayette County Public Schools. We always want to be collaborative and we always want to make sure that we are doing what we can so that all students achieve at high levels. And we do have some CTE core values. I can't see the screen, Rachel. Can you guys see it?
It's paused. Did you guys pause it? Do you want me to put it back on?
Put it back on, please.
Okay, I did not pause it. Someone paused. We'll get it going. Here we go. Well, maybe. It's not working.
Ruh-roh.
Let's see here. Let me just stop the share and redo it again. Now it's happening.
Yes.
All right. Back. Okay, sorry.
There we go. Go to the next slide for me, please. Yes. All right. So we do have some CTE core values. These all make sense to you. You can see this graphic on our staff portal. If you haven't gone there, please go there and check it out. And let's go to our vision, Rachel. All right. We want to build quality in career and technical programming through transformational partnerships that will empower all students to be successful in a continually changing workforce.
Da-da-da.
Rachel, you want to hit our intentions for today?
So today we are here, we're going to learn about how to increase post-secondary readiness via our EOPs and Certs. And we're going to talk about specifically the processes, some incentives, and the alignment to the standard. So our success criteria talks about, we're going to look at some of last year's data and talk about how we can use that to improve student success. We're going to look at how we can better prepare our kiddos. We're going to determine the procedures on how to give it, and then talk about and identify those incentives for students to pass and incentives for us to collaborate as teachers and engage students in passing. So again, the sign-in is there, the QR code. I'm also putting the codes in the chat. Bam. What's happening in CTE? Just a quick update. We'd love to hear the goodnesses that are happening for our CTE Chronicle. If you'll click the form to submit, we can get that in. I've answered all kinds of emails about our December 1 CTSO rosters. The link is there to upload those rosters. Amanda also sent those out. Again, it's the roster from the organization. It can't just be a sheet or a doc. And then any advisories for fall, we need those minutes and roster uploaded. We've been to a couple that have been really cool. Does anybody want to share anything that's happened really cool at their advisory or that they've seen? Nobody's going to share. CTE team, did you see anything cool at the two you guys went to?
I was
didn't
gonna say,
go.
we got to go to East Side and South Side. I think Amanda was there early and I was there towards the end, but I was really happy to see the turnout and how many people were there. And it was just, I felt like there was good discussion again in the meetings that I was in, but it was nice to be able to see the community partners and stuff there. So I appreciated y'all inviting me.
Okie dokie. Is this me? Me?
I'll go, I'll do it.
Okay.
So you guys have seen this graphic, most likely. This is our post-secondary readiness. These are the indicators. On the left, you have the academic readiness indicators, and on the right, you have the career readiness ones. And even though in order to be PSR, a student only has to meet one of these in either category, but we want students to be both academic and career ready. And today, what we are talking about with the EOP and industry cert is obviously focusing on that right-hand side, but it is always nice for us to review what is on here. If you click on this, it is hyperlinked. It will take you to the actual document, and you can see that almost everything on this page is hyperlinked. So if you want additional information, for example, like the work-based learning is 300 hours of work-based learning. The 3 hours of CTE dual credit, they have to get a C or higher. So you should have a PSR team at your school. If you do not, you should inquire about that. And you should have some kind of tracking document so that we are not being reactive when students become seniors. We are being proactive throughout their entire high school process. And for those of you who like to dig a little bit deeper, this is how we calculate this information. There is a cheat code. If you have a CTE pathway that is high demand, it gets an additional 0.25 added to that calculation. And then they add that to the number of students that you have. And these are seniors, by the way. This is senior data who are ready. And then they divide that by the number of total graduates. So that's how it is calculated. It is 20% of a high school state accountability system.
All right, so this is Amanda. You're going to go over the first learning intention. How can we use last year's data? Here we go.
Okay. So some people short circuit when they see a bunch of numbers. So let's break down what we are looking at here. On the far left-hand side, the first column that you see says PSR score, and you can see that this is a 3-year, can you go, there we go. This is a 3-year progression. And in that column that says post-secondary ready, you can see that we have had some growth. The next column is just academic ready. The next column is career ready. There is a lot to celebrate here. You can see that we had an 11% jump in career readiness, which is obviously our wheelhouse, but we also want our kids to be academic ready. There was a 2% jump there. And then if you are interested in the remainder of the details, you can see those as well. Like that career bonus is that 0.25 additional in your calculation. So you can see that we had a lot more of that going on this year. And again, just a reminder, this is senior data. You can see the percentage of students who got an industry cert, percentage of students with the EOP. We have noticed a trend with schools trying to offer more industry certifications. They are fewer students are testing in the EOP. And I just want to remind everyone, for funding purposes, especially with that state funding that we get, every one of those indicators for the funding formula count. So if you have a student who gets a C or higher in a CTE dual credit, it's $425. If you have a student, that same student passes an EOP, it's $425. They pass the industry cert, another $425, so forth and so on. So just keep that in mind when you are tracking and determining who is going to be taking the assessments in your building. And any questions about this data before we move on?
Which fields are the high demand fields?
So if you, when we send out this presentation, if you click on, Rachel, can you go back to that PSR graphic, please? Yes, that second page of that graphic has a high demand link on that second page.
Sorry,
You're okay.
this one. My bad.
Yes.
And honestly, all of ours except for education and family consumer science are high demand.
Mm-hmm. A lot of them are. Yeah. So Rachel, can you show on that second page how it's got that HD hyperlink down there? Yeah. In that bottom left corner. You can also Google it, KDE.
So it's your
and-
valid industry cert list.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so that'll
And
pop
it'll-
up in the spreadsheet. It's huge. Slow me down. Sorry.
Thank you.
But yes, so Tim, you are engineering, and so that is high demand.
So let's segue into taking a look at this. So,
Amanda, can I ask a question about what you said about the 425?
yes, ma'am.
Is it per dual credit class, or if they take one, like, what if they take multiple ones? Is it 425 for each of those CTE dual credit
Only one
courses,
count.
or is it capped at once?
Only
That's a
one.
good question, Lisa. It is capped at 1. So even if they might be taking 3 CTE dual credits and they get a C or higher on all 3,
Okay.
it only
Okay.
counts for them once.
Okay, and then on the industry certifications, is it per industry certification that they pass, or do they have to become PSR? Like some have 1, some have 3.
It's just the 1 would make them PSR.
Oh, perfect. Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Yeah. Okay, so what we have here are on the left-hand side, the name of the assessment, and then we have a column that has the state, Kentucky State pass rate, and then we have our district pass rate. And there are lots of reasons to celebrate in this, but I'm going to give you a moment to, I hope that you're not looking at this in your phone because that's going to be kind of hard, but I want to give you a moment to kind of look at this data and somebody point out a success. What do we see?
We're outperforming the state on 8 or 9 of those assessments significantly.
Yes. Thank you, Taylor. There is lots to celebrate here. Let's look at that second page, Rachel.
I just want to show too, there's some outliers where you see that 0% in accounting Nobody
Oh.
tested. Nobody
Yep.
tested. So there are other things to look at. So I don't want the numbers or these are just numbers, but we can dig deeper when you look at your individual data. Sorry.
Yes, also Austin in the chat put game design. Yes, that's a big jump compared to the state. Thank you for those observations. And so here are some additional pathway assessments. Take a minute to look at that. Hi, Lynn, glad you could join us. Lots to celebrate here too. Any questions about these two diagrams before we move on? Okay.
All right. Is it my turn? It is my turn. Okay. So our EOPs, all of the EOPs are aligned to your pathways. Okay, those are your pathway standards. And all of the EOPs have the same academic and employability standards. So you can look at these standards and all of them are here. When you click on this link, and you're going to get this show later, but it can show you how we did each year on each of these standards. So specifically like reading and interpreting workplace documents. You know, we have grown, and so we're doing well. Here we have grown in the math. I know that people are intentionally adding those to their coursework. So, you know, our PSR, our rise in our scores is partly because of all the work that our teachers have put into teaching these standards intentionally. I'm so proud. So, and then just things like, you know, work ethic and self-representation, and a lot of it is just vocab and those sorts of things. And you can look on there, and I'm going to show you later how to see your actual school's data for that. The next slide shows, oh, how do I get this data? I lied. I'm going to tell you right now. Sorry. It's been a long day, guys. How to actually get your data. So each of you all, if you have an EOP, should have been given your data from either your BAC or your CCR coach, or I don't know who is at your school, but we're working on figuring that out in April. We get our results April 26th. And so I know that you guys want to get a jump start on things like I do. And you can look at that data and see kind of how to shape your curriculum for the next year. And then also looking at, well, what if Bob, who is like 2 points away, he can take the EOP again next year. He was only a sophomore, but I might need to make sure he gets into a class so that he can accelerate his learning in some of those standards. So there is a data dive site and the link is here, and it has, let me see if I can get it bigger, put it on the thing, sorry. It has it's slow here, guys. Step by
While
step.
Rachel's doing that, I wanted to say we've met with a couple different groups recently to show people how to go through this. So this is just going to be like a quick show where it is, but we are happy to meet with you guys. We can Zoom and kind of look through it. But like Taylor today hopped on, I mean, 20, 30 minutes most, we were able to kind of pull some stuff and show him. And like I said, we've met with a couple different groups. So if this is too much, feel free to, like I said, make a note and request Rachel and/or and we can show you how to do this.
And I just want to show you where this is so you guys can see their screenshots. And the very most important thing, a lot of you guys have probably gotten this grade report where it just shows you, hey, my kids passed or failed. But the best one is the standard performance by student, because you can see exactly what Bob did on what standard. Also today, when we were working with Taylor, we found out that we can find out performance, like how long they spent on the test. So if you've got a joker in there that's just clicking buttons, you can kind of look at that as well. And so I just want you guys, I don't want to go over everything today, but you can reach out and we will definitely come and do a little workshop with you. It doesn't take very long, but we can get on the system with you and show you how to make that work. So questions on that? Clear as mud. Okay. So some of the commonly missed academic employability standards from 2023 data were these, and this is district-wide. And so that's critical thinking, which is really difficult. I know it's hard to teach. It's an experience. Tables and graphs, reasoning, problem solving, all of the above. Conflict resolution. It's the skills needed. It's not what is it, but how to identify those skills. The consistent and punctual attendance. People don't know what punctual means. They know to show up on time for work and they do it, but they may not know how to read and write about being punctual. And then here it was from 2024. Again, tables and graphs, again, financial information, punctual attendance. The ones that are highlighted are the same from 23 to 24. So we've grown. We've got different commonly missed now. So we've got more things to work on. So again, we'll be sending this PowerPoint out and you guys can work on these in your PLCs, but you guys can also look at your own school data as well. Questions on that? All right, Christina, you're up.
Okay, so I know not everybody offers an EOP test. So sometimes people tune it out or are like, I don't do EOP, I do industry certs. But on the flip side, these are good places that we can PLC together, and because regardless, the employability and the academic stuff is going to carry over to other things. So that was going to be one of the things I wanted to ask you all, and then I was going to give you all some thoughts too. But how can we use some of this data to increase EOP scores and or industry certs? Thoughts on what you think would be helpful based on this information?
Go, Mr. Casey.
Anybody have any thoughts? Okay, Rachel, if you want to like just kind of click through just some thoughts that I have, and then if you guys want to add to it, just doing Quizlets in class, bell ringers, exit slips, that sort of thing, looking and doing Kahoots. And again, this could be something that you can do building wide. It's not something that you have to do. So you all can make, plus there's lots of Kahoots out there if you just look for them, and that if you look specifically EOP, employability academic. Having I think the big thing on some of these is like a kid, like kind of like Rachel said, like a kid understands like that you got to show up in time, but maybe they don't understand what the word punctuality is, or maybe they just can't answer a multiple choice test question about it. So having the kids even write multiple choice questions, looking at those standards and saying, okay, like if I were to have a multiple choice question that would be asking me this, what possibly would that multiple choice question look like? And then just intentionally teaching employability and academic. I've heard a lot in our PLCs, well, it's embedded. And a lot of it is embedded, just those things that we talk about, but intentionally talking about it and assessing it, reading about it, writing about it, all that stuff is going to help. And then, so what else? Do you all have any other thoughts? Because we're going to kind of take some notes, but do you all have any other ideas as far as just employability and academic? How you guys can help with that portion.
You know, I think that's something that you could do, like some Canvas modules that you could do building wide or pathway wide or program wide, and then you have some common formative assessment data that could show if it's, you know, a class, if it's a building, or if it's, you know, just across that maybe that age range, in which, you know, I would love to have that data.
Yes, I like that.
Yeah. Anyone else? I know that some schools do some kind of like some boot camps and employability skills during their like homeroomy time. I don't know what it's called. It's different at every school, but because it's good for all kids. It's you know, it's not going to hurt any of us. It's what employers want. So that's always a fun thing. So
I think sometimes going over an assessment, like, let's give this assessment and go over it and kind of hit the most commonly missed questions. I think that can be useful because, like, sometimes you don't, student understanding is going to be not where you expect it to be, or like misunderstanding.
perfect. Yes. And yeah, again, that intentionality and then going over it with them and realizing, oh, well, we all kind of missed the boat on that one, and it's okay. We'll get it next time. Okay. All right. Amanda, industry cert data.
Okay, so industry certification data, as far as it is being reported and it affects your accountability and funding, relies on who enters your TEDS information. So unlike our EOP scores, which are automatically reported to the Kentucky Department of Education, industry certs are not. So we have to enter this information into the TEDS data system. So the technology education data system. You should have two people in your building. Tech centers are a little bit different. They typically have one. Their counselors are usually their TEDS data entry people, but every high school should have two people. And our approach this year and last year is to touch every student that is currently enrolled in a CTE course and make sure that we update their credits, their attend hours, all of those things. But that is an infinite campus. So your TEDS data people actually go into the TEDS system and enter the industry certification data. So if they passed and if they failed. So if we look at the data that you see on the screen right now, you've got 21 through 24, and you could see the grand total no's and yeses, but this data is only accurate if we are providing the yeses and the nos. So if you are on that post-secondary readiness team at your high school, make sure that whomever is entering the information into TEDS is putting everyone who you assessed. Yes, if they passed, and no, if they failed. And we've placed additional dates, workshops, if you will, for these your TEDS point of contacts to have uninterrupted time to input this information, so that we can make sure it's accurate and we get the biggest benefit out of it for doing what we can for our kids. So just wanted to make sure that we threw that out there.
I want to mention too, something that I learned this year. Again, I told Taylor I'm learning something new every year, is that so you can click on this and kind of look at the district data, but please know that it's going to be a little off because of our tech centers. So you should only look at the tech centers. That's the correct data. What happens though is if I am Rachel and I have started a business pathway at Station and I've got 2 classes in, but then I'm like, dude, I'm going to Locust Trace because that place looks cool. So then my data goes to Locust Trace, and that's fine, but it will also pick up at Station again because my TEDS tab started there. And so it's always going to look a little weird when you're looking at it districtally, but when you're looking at it at your school, you need to think too about your students and looking at the student data per student. Does that make any sense? Lynn, you got a question for me. I see it. No? Okay, good. But anyway, that was something that drove me crazy for the first 3 years, but thanks to Dr. Wood, she helped me figure that out. So we are really kicking butt in these certs by just the pure numbers and the teachers teaching the standards, and it's just so impressive. All right, Christina, you're on.
Okay, so kind of the same thing on this is how can we use this data specifically looking at industry certs? So we'll go over some suggestions that we have, and then you guys can throw in some more. But that scaffolding instruction, one of the things we talked about is, again, getting down into looking at the standard and what is it asking you to do. And there may be some things that are like fun to teach, but maybe we don't need to teach them that deep. But then there's some that we really need to teach to a deeper level, and just making sure that we're scaffolding it and teaching the things that we need to at the appropriate level. Again, unit frameworks and PLCs. We've been doing a lot of PLCing, and some people love the frameworks and some people don't. and don't use them, but just having those there and making sure that you're focusing on what's essential. Practice exams, that's a big one. And knowing what the certification exam looks like. And then when you're given assessments in your classes, making your assessments look like what the assessments would look like for the industry certification exams, so that they are used to seeing those types of questions, look, just the formatting and all that as well. And then tying that back into what you're teaching and making sure that you're talking about it all the time, so that it's not just like, we have this class, you have this class, and then right before you take the test, then you start talking about the test. And again, I feel like you probably do that, but just making sure that you're tying all that back into, we're learning this because you're going to take the certification, and reminding them why they're taking the certification and what the certifications are going to be good for. So what specifically about the data for industry certs? Do you all have any other ideas or thoughts of how we can utilize the data? The only thing with the industry cert data is it's not nearly as itemized as the EOP data. I think some of the industry certs are, but a lot of them are just very just here's what the score is, and it doesn't break it down by item. Yes, we do have practice EOP questions, and that's one of the things I think towards the end of April that we'll show you. We have some test banks, but there's also an online platform that's exactly like what the EOP tests is. It shows a little timer and the little calculator and everything, so that they can practice it.
And I think that the key here is that there is a misconception that the industry certifications are applications based. Majority of them are not. The majority of them are multiple choice. Some, like the Adobes, are sandbox, but there's multiple choice and some matching involved too. So just giving kids the opportunity to practice what they're going to be doing is really the key. And so if you want to take your cert, please do.
Yes, that's another good suggestion.
You can do that, and that helps tremendously. We have the money now because of the state funding, so just ask, just sign yourself up to take one, and you've got it. The one test that has really good data is the AAFCS test, like the financial literacy, the education fundamentals, culinary, the family consumer science test. Those have really good data down to each standard, which is pretty cool. But sometimes that data gets sent to the student and not the teacher, so you have to be on your toes about getting that. Any other questions or additions? Yeah. Yes. Okay. Cheers. All right. So here's the differences. Industry cert is developed by and for industry. EOPs are state developed and written for high school. So what I'm saying is that industry certs are probably written at a higher level, okay? And high school is about an 8th grade reading level. Student career opportunities and advancement is the Y of industry cert. The EOP, it assesses the learning of the pathway skill. A cert makes you supposedly work ready, but let's not get into that. We're not down with authentic. We're going to talk about that in a minute. It provides authentic meaning, and it has most of the program area pathway standards. I do know that the state is conscious of trying to make that be better, especially in computer science and media arts, that it's not a separate thing, that it is embedded into your standards. It shouldn't be two separate things. So that is one of our hurdles that we're dealing with. On the EOP side, it measures our program effectiveness. It helped me as a teacher realize what I was doing. For the cert, it increases the student's confidence and credibility. It's got PSR for both, but what's cool about the cert is you got that 1.25 for your high demands. Industry certification, you guys got all the funding. EOPs are free. Certs can be given at any time, administered by teachers and the PSR team, however you guys decide to do it. But the EOP is February through March is your period of time. administered by your BAC and your PSR team. Your BAC should be helping you, should be treated like the ACT. It is a state assessment. And then there's college credit via articulation for both. So, with all that being said, please complete this poll. Let's hope it works, Christina. Which is better? Vote. Nobody's voting.
Well,
Am
it
I
takes a
dead?
minute to get there.
There it goes. I see it now. Ooh, oh, that's not what I thought.
I thought that was gonna go the other way.
Well, we only had 2 people respond, so, oh, here we go.
Oh, there
I'm
it
still
goes.
trying to get it into there, so.
It's okay. Oh,
It keeps going back and forth.
I think you guys please keep voting. But the moral of the story is it's really a case by case basis, right? Like if you have a cert that is really a valid credential for your pathway, then that's awesome. And if it's high demand, then that makes it better. But then the EOP is good for certain kids that the EOP would be good for. So, you know, and they both have articulation and they're both valid measures of a kid's CTE knowledge and skills. So I think it's really, they're both good, but it's a case by case basis. Does anybody want to argue that? No, okay, good. Thank you guys. I know it's hard to get into Slido. Okay, I think this is you, Christina, preparing students for success.
Yes, hold on.
Yes. Sorry, I had it. It was weird. I got it.
All right, am I muted or can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Oh my God, for some reason it was being weird. But yes, so we're going to specifically talk about prepping students. And I don't know where you are. I can't get my Zoom to pull up, but that's okay. All right.
We're
So
here.
there it is. Okay, there it is. So prepping kids, first of all, is having them practice the test and all the stuff that we talked about earlier. Also, letting them know what the format is going to be and reminding them of the format and remembering that yourself. It's going to be 120 questions. You don't have to tell them that only 20 of them are pilot questions. We know that, but you don't have to tell them that because there's no way that they're identified. So don't even mention that to them because just it's 120 questions. 25% of it's academic, 25% is employability, 50% is occupational. So just reminding those students of that. And I'm sure you guys have probably, those of you who have been around, you know this. If you're new or haven't done the EOP, it doesn't matter if you're ag or engineering or FCS or whatever, the groups, all of the academic questions are the same. All of the employability questions are the same. The only thing that's different is the occupational piece. So if a kid takes 1 or 2 EOPs, or 2 or 3 EOPs that same year, they're going to see 50% of the questions are going to be the exact same every day that they take the test. Now, not from year to year, but from day to day within that year. But it is timed. That's also something that you need to look at. Any modifications, anything like that in advance so that the students are ready, but they can have extended time. And then the passing score is a 70%. Big thing too is, and we'll talk about this several times, is communicating with the students, with the families, sending letters, making announcements. And we'll talk more about that, but understanding, letting the parents and families understand, and other teachers in your building, about what the EOP is and what it's going to look like. And Rachel, will you click on your cute little EOP resources?
Yes, hold on, I
link?
messed up. Here we go, EOP resources. So April specifically, this has all things EOP.
Yeah. So, and some of you guys have seen this before, but it has all the things with articulation agreements, accommodations at the top there. We've added that. The accommodations information. So if you want to know specific to the EOP, that's in there. But this is just kind of a one-stop shop that has all the information about the EOP.
And this is how to do, this is the link for the ESAS, okay, report. And if you scroll down, you've got your standard documents, and here under prep and practice.
Oh yeah, April was
we've got
asking.
practice tests, linked sample tests. I mean, if you're a bit marketing teacher, I've got all of it on Google Forms, or a management teacher. But again, like hooking up with your teacher friends and sharing your multiple choice practices is
yeah. Scroll down to the one that right there. Oops, that one. It says COSA. I know that's old, but that's still the same one, and they haven't changed it yet online. But that one right there, that is that she has pulled up, where you have to put in the KCTCS COSA sample COSA. That's the one that looks exactly like the testing format, the online. So that is a really good one to practice.
This one is sample tests that are online. It's only like 20 questions, but there's the sample, and they pick their program area or their pathway area. So yeah. So anyway, so
Okay.
and it also has a commonly missed. So anything you would need here, I just want to quickly before we move on. I'm sorry, Christina.
No, you're good.
On your toes. I'm always doing it. She's gonna smack me around here soon. Okay. Make sure that
we took our version to the Metropolitan Museum of.
There you go. All right. So time, extra time. If it's in their IEP, if it's in their 504, they get the things. Okay. And here, there are links for the certifications. Make sure that you look at them. Some of them have them, some of them don't. It's up to you as as the teacher to do that. They can use dictionaries, Spanish to English dictionaries. There's also, they can have scrap paper. They can use the calculator and all the things. But whatever they get on their modifications on their IEP is what they get for the EOP, and it's just up to the back and the PSR team to make sure that that's been noted in the ESAS system. Is that correct? Okay. Next.
Yes, and then one other thing is just thinking, if you, depending on where your student is, like which courses that they've taken. So after 2 courses, they are officially able to test. But if they haven't had the meat and potatoes course that's going to go along with that, you could wait and test them. If they're underclassmen, you could wait and test them, or you could go ahead and test them so that they have seen the test, and then they can retake it the next year. So you can kind of use your judgment on that. But if you also remember, the tests are in what, February, the end of February, beginning of March. So depending on when it is, you just need to make sure that you're teaching the meat and potatoes of that course early on in the semester. Because after they take the test, I mean, it's obviously so important that they get the information, but some of that stuff you need to do early in that spring semester, because they're going to be testing so early in the semester. And it's good and it's bad. We get our testing information back early before school's out, but it really makes you cram it in, especially if we have snow days.
And that's one of our big rocks in our PLCs in the backwards design is planning our course progressions that way. Okay, next. Okay, who is this? Is this me? Yes. Okay, so preparing students for the cert. We have the valid industry certification list, which we just showed you earlier. It's from the state. It's the spreadsheet that shows all the certifications that are aligned to your pathway. And we also have our folder of our fact sheets. And you guys have commenting access, so you can make any edits that you see that is needed. So all of our certs are in here. And so if I'm giving the Ask Business certification, I'm gonna click it and I'm gonna hope it opens. And then I'm going to see, okay, here's where I can go to figure out who's the credentialing agency. It explains what it is. Here are some resources. It has our policies, the manual, the step-by-steps. Is it online or paper? There's a manual. There's the login for web exam. That's how you take it online. Here's the pricing. We're a member state, so we've got special pricing. Here's how to order. And this one is really detailed because I have had firsthand experience with this one. I am begging my teacher leaders to go on and put comments on these as they're giving them so they can help our new people doing these certs. So then when they look at this, they see, oh, okay. And then you can see where the last time I updated was 8/24. And so when I get comments, I'll put on there when I updated it. But I think this is the best way for us to help our kids. All of Fayette County kids are all our kids. So if we can help each other out with that, because I just don't have the access to be able to do every cert. But I know enough to be dangerous in both. And as you guys know, I am a bulldog and I will figure it out, and we'll figure it out together if we need to. Questions on that? So we talked about high demand noted in the spreadsheet. The one thing I do want to talk about briefly is the validity of the credential, and that's all done by our Workforce Innovation Board. And Kentucky has a clearly defined process, which you will see on the next slide. If there is something that you want to count as a cert, I can throw it up the flagpole and we can go through this process where there's an application request. So we can fill out an application request, and then it will go to KDE, and they'll talk to their task force about it, which is business and industry. They call them BEAT teams. Then it will go to the KWIB, and then they'll vote either yes or no. So if there's something that you feel strongly about, I will help you do this. You just tell me what it is and the why. We need a what and the why, and some good evidence, I guess. Questions on that? Don't be scared because it's weird. It's a weird thing. Go back to
Okay,
slide
so
16.
I was gonna say, so I know we talked about as far as preparing students specific to, the academic and employability and doing some of those practice test questions and scaffolding and all that stuff. Some of the other things that I thought of and that I've done in my past schools, and then I just want to get your all's thoughts and ideas too. But again, I think communication home is big, even maybe at the beginning of the course, letting them know like, hey, this is one of the things that we're going to be doing. And then closer to time for the test, sending a letter home or an email or a Remind 101. Something else too is we would give our kids like a little test ticket prior to tell them exactly what day they needed to be testing, where they need to be testing. There was a QR code for some test prep stuff so that they could get online. We did a test prep night where we fed them pizza and we put them in the different rooms depending on which test that they were taking. And we would do test prep specific for occupational, but we would also do that for academic and employability. We would kind of do it as a group and then we would break up. Reminding them again of the testing format, hyping it up in class, doing a big thing. Teaching kids just test taking strategies and testing endurance, how to look at a multiple choice question, and eliminating the choices that are clearly not the right ones, and just giving them some of those test taking strategies. And then even just teaching them just some mindfulness about testing day, like eating right and sleep, getting a good night's rest, anything like that. What other things do you all have that you all have used, or do you all have any ideas? What do your schools do for KSA testing to help them? Is there any other ideas that you all have?
I think they're ideas out.
I know, that's okay. All right, go
I
ahead.
just want to say too that I know one thing that works, and is if you align your course, a course to a cert. An EOP is an end of program, but a cert can go with a course, or maybe a course and a half. and it has to be in part of your course or courses, depending on how detailed that is. And when it's part of your course, it becomes part of the vernacular, part of the culture. Oh, I'm taking Shinship. I'm going to get Photoshop this year. You know, whatever it is, it just becomes part of the culture, and everybody knows that that's it. So anyway, that's just my 2 cents. You can throw it away if you want to. Okie dokie. Procedures on EOP. We're going to wing through this a little bit. So you're back. We'll give you your TEDS EOP tickets. And Amanda, chime in if I do this wrong, because I haven't done it in a while. And then teachers, you should be looking at the rosters so that you, or they should be asking you some questions. I know some of you guys have a lot of kids, but you guys are the ones that really know your kids in this. So let's say I qualify for both an engineering and a management. And who you would ask the teachers, which ones could this kid really take? Well, Rachel's really not going to do well yet on the engineering test because she's just an engineering 1, but she's finished her management pathway, so she's cool. Or she's in the 3rd class, she's cool. So like those sorts of things. Yes, thank you, Lynn. Look at the rosters from December and January, and it has to be completed before February 11th, so that your TED. I can't read, thank you, 1, so that your EOP test tickets come out correctly. Was that right, Amanda? So you guys do more percolating then?
We look at fall, we do the big TED scrub. We've actually completed it this month.
Okay.
And then we look at fall failures and we upload it again. So they have to have 2 credits in place, I say, by January, because we are uploading that data before February.
And we're running out of time, so I'm just going to kind of breeze through this. So your school's point person or people. I think what we really want you guys to know is that it should be a people. It's a big thing. It's a heavy lift. Your back should be involved. Your CTE lead, your admin, they should be involved. It's important. You know, and you should be able to use the library or whatever you need to use to do the EOP. It has to be proctored in person. They can use Chromebooks, and in the system they use is ESES, and everything is in the testing manual. And so all of you guys are responsible for your accommodations. And then here's what I really want you guys to share. What do you do if I don't show up? What if I don't show up for my management EOP? I went to class instead, and I didn't do it. What do you guys do? Does anybody do anything?
We'll go get them. So we'll pull if they don't show up to the EOP, we'll pull them off their list, know what class they're in, and we'll go grab them.
Great. What if I was ill? Can I take it another day?
We do reserve about 4 days at the end, 4 to 5 days that last week to make sure that we catch any of those that need to take it again.
Perfect. Thank you. You guys are awesome. If you have questions, you're going to email me. Certs, when you look at your framework, your progressions are there. We are trying our hardest to show kind of where people are teaching them, where they're giving them. I know it's not always 100%, but again, in this framework, if you were to click on these links here, it will take you to your fact sheet, okay? And then this will take you to your end of program standards, and then these are your frameworks. So everything's there, your progressions, your scope and sequence documents are your one-stop shop for everything. There's work-based learning is on there, CTSO, all the things you need. I know it's a lot, but it is a one-stop shop. Again, here's your fact sheet. Again, I would love comments, suggestions, what I need to add, what am I missing, those sorts of things. Data sharing agreements. I know last year was very struggleful. It's not a word, made it up, makeys. Struggleful, because we didn't have our data sharing agreements because we didn't know, and so we had to kind of push back certs for certain things. I think we're doing well, but if you have a question, you go on the navigator and you can look under tools, and you Raggy, this is not good news. Okay. You will go to tools and see if your software certification program is there, because a student has to log in. We are protecting their privacy, and it's a big deal. And so you would look here to see, okay, cool, Adobe approved. We can take that test, so we're good to go. But I know that all of you guys have been doing that. If there are specific tech issues, Allison French has been amazing. Again, I know enough to be dangerous, but I will find out for you, and Allison and I will find out, and Christina too. And then you can work with your tech coordinator. They will start the approval process if there's a new thing. So like Taylor, I just approved your new, I don't know what it's called, but it's the new cool engineering software thing for.
We appreciate it more than you know. Thank you.
Okay, good. And so, I mean, he did it the right way, and it was amazing. So I'm glad that's working. So we got a process now. Considerations for industry cert, and EOP, talking with your advisory board, see if they recognize it. If they don't recognize it, show it to them, right? Show them some of the things that are on that. And it's because they don't know doesn't mean that it's not valid. It just means they don't know. We already talked about the frameworks. Think about the lifespan of the cert, but you know what? That doesn't really matter that much. They're still getting the cert. They can easily re-up it. You know, it's okay, but just something to think about. Your stack certifications, you know, which certs need to be stacked is you have to have 2 or both or 1 of 4 or all those things. Should you give both? Consider that. Consider who you're giving them to. And then again, like Amanda said, tracking this data. This is important for your post-secondary readiness. Any questions? All right, here's the fun stuff. So Tate's Creek could not go. Everybody, I think, is madness. Madness is in the air, so they could not come today. So she sent me kind of how they motivate students to earn certs and EOPs. They have really done a huge increase. So they have done PD sessions for the whole school and monthly SLCs with PSR data by academy. So they have done actual PD with all of their school, like not just the CTE teachers, but the academic teachers as well, letting them know of the employability and academic standards in the SLCs because they're an academy. And so it's like a whole, everybody's working on the same thing. Because they have PSR walls. I haven't looked at this doc. I hope it works. Sorry. PSR docs. Or walls, sorry. So they are all ready. Are you post-secondary ready? So just, you know, highlighting your kiddos. Can you guys see that? Let me make it big. Here we go. This is pretty cute. So are you post-secondary ready? And then, oh, this is her. This is how she's tracking it, right? The pathway, and then all of the things. And then she's got her stars. Okay, we're not going to look at all that. Sorry. I could go down. Okay, so she's done better tracking. This is Beth, well, the whole team has. They've streamlined scheduling to make sure they're taking the right classes. And I think Christina was talking about that, you know, making sure if they don't have the meat and potatoes yet, get them in that meat and potatoes class. Working with your teachers so that they know where's the meat and potatoes. The teachers know. They tried some new certs like NoctiCAD and Onshape, just to get more kids to pass and see if those would work. A pizza party always works. Pizza party, t-shirts, cool stuff. And then finding the right pathway fit for our teachers. So before cinematography pathway was interactive media, but she was working with Miss Wilson, and her lens and her forte and is Premiere Pro. So worked with Amanda, changed the pathway of cinematography. I know it's not always teacher driven, but that is what was best for the kids. So that's kind of what they did to increase their PSR so much, and especially in certs and EOPs. So I just wanted to highlight them right quick. They were supposed to be here, but that's okay. All right. We don't have time.
No time.
But it's okay. Here's what I want. We've got 1 minute. So, Amanda, what are some of the ways that you guys motivated students to take it seriously when you were there, or that you've seen around town?
A lot of what you just discussed, I think it's really important to promote that college credit piece. Our parents don't know, guys. Make sure that you have some kind of communication going home to your students and to your families to talk about around that piece. It is articulated credit, but it is still college credit. And then also just incentives that kids that are tangible to students, like have those pizza parties, like when you start making those post-secondary readiness walls, kids want to be on them. Like they want their photo up there. They want to be celebrated for the things they are accomplishing. So the more light you can shine on that, the better.
Things like cords, medals. I know Dunbar last year did an awards night for CTE specifically, and that was kind of for
Mhm.
seniors. That was special. Any ways that you can lift them up and celebrate that their accomplishments, because it is a big deal.
Yeah.
You guys, sorry, I took all your time. I will stay if anybody has questions. But other than that, what else? Is there anything else? Let me make sure I'm doing anything.
That was it.
That was it? Okay. Again, we're sending this out to everyone.
An idea for a cert that goes with the class would be like a final exemption or a final exam grade given for a cert passed. Like
Oh.
that's an idea.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
And then Lynn had also said like graduate like chords and that sort of thing. They'll take tests for chords.
Oh yeah, definitely. They want all the regalia. Like they don't want to be naked.
Mhm.
This is what they saw me naked during graduation. So yeah.
Tell you one of the things we do for the semester that we cert them, we cert them. If you get the cert, you have a minimum grade in the class. So if you pass the cert, you'll get a minimum 80% for the semester, which for some of our kids, as I like to tell my kids, that's not that great. But I have had a kid who pulled a D up to a B and he made it by like 3 days on the skin of his teeth. But that'll get them really, really motivated, especially some of your ones who struggle quite a bit. It works well.
We always liked our test prep nights. We also did t-shirts, like CTE shirts during the testing week. That was more for EOP, but like where everybody wore their shirts that week and everybody, so, and again, talking to the schools, I liked where Tate's Creek said that they talk to all faculty, not just CTE, making announcements and that sort of thing, I think is really good just to get everybody on board. But it's funny. Yeah. Just a kid from a D to a B. That's awesome.
Look, and I'm just going to dish here because you know how many ACTs I had to give? As a CTE teacher, I had to walk around for a day. And those academic teachers never help us with the EOP, but they're going to start.
Yes, and the ACT day and the KSA day and all the days. And yes, agreed.
That's right. All right, guys, we are out of time. As always, we appreciate you. We would love to hear some feedback. If there are any ideas for future CTE summits that you'd like to have, let us know that as well. And safe travels, and everyone have a good evening.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving, y'all.
Oh, yeah.
Bye, Lynn.
I have a quick question. I heard a money amount is like we know. Do we know how we get our state supplemental funding now?
Yes, there is a funding formula breakdown. It is 60% butts and seats, and that's from the previous year. That is based on TED's data that is put into Infinite Campus. And then 40% is the previous 2 years